Boris.
Yeah, shocking, isn't it?
Where's it from? Working with Ross. What's that? Like I've never really
I'm
met.
surprised it's taking you this long because
Well,
it's always
yeah.
my number one question.
No, well, I'm interested in.
Everyone
you.
goes, oh, what's he like? I don't know how long ago. It must have been like 5 or 6 years ago. I watched the 2007 grand final back and I was like, wow, that is awesome football. Gary Ablett Jr. for a period of three or 4 years there, like he just was unstoppable. Like, to the fact like our game plan was like just give it to Gaz and then like block and whatever, like just give it to him no matter where he was. Like he was so good.
Hey,
first time.
Pretty good for a first podcast, mate. That's yeah, very impressive. Corey Enright, how are you, mate?
Well, thank you.
Hey, first podcast?
It is, yeah. It's a bit nerve-wracking, mate, in front of you, but no, first time live in studio.
We were just saying, mate, you've done plenty of cool things, on the field. I don't think you could be too nervous about your first podcast, but very excited to go through today, mate, especially obviously what you're up to now with the Saints and coaching and forging sort of that path in your career, but then obviously your playing days as well and how they all correlate, and I suppose Geelong as well. Just haven't really stopped at the moment, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, they're doing really well, obviously, have done for a long period of time, and grand final again. So yeah, it'll be an exciting week. It'll be good. I still live in Geelong, so that you can. Not that I venture out too much, but you just go and grab a coffee. Everyone's sort of up and about a bit, so it's really good for the town.
Boris.
Yeah, shocking, isn't it?
Where's it from?
So it's a long story, but fortunately we got time.
Yeah,
but,
we do.
So it was when I was about 5 or 6, and I was quite hyperactive and as a young kid, and we had really good family friends. We used to, we're a small country town. We just go over to their house all the time, and so my dad's mate, who we go to all the time, he was like just going through his house, and he's like, "Oh, you're just crazy, mate. You just bounce off the walls, and he started calling me Boom Boom, like Boom Boom, and then shortened to Boom, and but that was around the time of Boris Becker, and his nickname was Boom Boom, and then just got shortened to Boris, and then it just.
So you had it pre-footy?
It just started, I had it since I was 6, all the way through, and then I get drafted, move interstate, thinking, okay, fresh start. I'll get a new nickname for sure, but I got drafted with someone that I knew, and then he come through, and that was it.
It stuck the whole time.
I only get called Corey when I'm in trouble, really. So
fantastic. Yeah, it's always been something that and even I suppose why I love doing these podcasts too, and not to embarrass you at all, but I obviously grew up, watching a lot of you play, loved watching you play and the way you went about it. But I love then meeting you post this and seeing what the personality's like and does it match, the way I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you are very you do have that about you, whereas I don't think I thought. When I thought of Boris, I thought maybe it was just like a calm sort of the Matthew Scarlett type, just very relaxed.
Yeah.
But how would you explain your personality, I suppose, on and off field?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? It depends who you ask, and it depends. And I have, obviously, over time you do mellow yourself out a bit. But I guess the personality side of it, I tend to, whenever I was playing, it's different to playing your playing personality as your own individual personality, and that's probably what you're talking a little bit about. People get perceptions of maybe who you are based off what you do on the field, which is right. But then that person, steps off the field and he's probably someone else as well. So we know that the field is quite combative, and you probably, for me personally, is that's a. Not anymore because I don't play, but that's you step onto that field, you become a different personality in a little way. You become competitive, you become really, and I've always been a team person, and that probably does, flow into my personality. I'm a caring type of person. I want to help others, and that's where I've landed with coaching as well. But as a footy player, that's I always wanted to make, my teammates better, and I always never wanted to let them down. So that was probably a big part of who I am, but also who I was as a footballer. Yeah,
well, hey, look, there's so much to talk about today with what you're doing now and obviously your journey through footy too. Maybe let's just keep following this track of coming into Geelong, 1999. We're looking at the draft before, which was just incredible.
Yeah.
And I've got so many questions. don't worry where this goes today. I it can go anywhere. But because I have like 50 questions off the top, which is not, is why I'm not a journalist, okay?
Yeah.
But long story short, so you had Joel Corey, Paul Chapman,
Cameron Ling,
and yourself, 1999 draft. Could you expect, like, what was the feeling coming into the club at that time? Because I think Gary Ayres had just finished up. Was it first year of Bomber Thompson?
And I'll strip it right back because it was a crazy time for me personally. Like, I was still living in a small town called Kimba in South Australia. I was doing year 12.
How far out is
So we're about 500 kilometres sort of to the west.
Yeah.
Just a small farming community. Grew up there, just had fun. I grew up as a kid, did all my schooling there. So in my year 12 year, there was myself and 4 other people. So you can sort of you can dive in and picture it. But then, like within a space of a month, I got drafted to Geelong. Had no contact with anyone prior to getting drafted, and then finished year 12, which was pretty easy because it was pretty easy to do. But and then, moved over to Geelong. I had no idea what was going on, and I was really excited to get drafted. I wasn't expected to get drafted in that, from where I was and what happened. So it all happened really quickly, and I'm in this, this new place. No people. I thought Geelong was a suburb of Melbourne. Just had no idea what I was doing for literally the first 6 to 8 months. Didn't have a phone, didn't have a car. Like we got our schedule on an A4 piece of paper, and you're just expected to, work it out and get to and from. And so it was just like, what the hell's going on?
How'd you keep in contact with family and stuff like that? Was it just through a landline?
Yeah. So it's bizarre.
Just another time.
So it was just like a total spin out. And then I remember getting to the end of the year, I was like, whoa, that was, pretty full on, from what I was used to and where I come from. So, and then it was like, okay, well, I'm here. I didn't play any AFL games in my first year. I was sort of, up and down at VFL level. And I had, back then you have a 2-year contract, so I got another year, and I'm like, oh, well, I better start pulling my finger out here and giving it a bit of a bit more of a go, because I just wasn't probably fully invested at that stage. And as you mentioned, those guys that had come through were they play games in their first year. Bomber Thompson was come in, so there was a lot of new people. We had 7 of us drafted that year. It wasn't until sort of the end of that sort of 12 months where I sort of started to feel a little bit more comfortable, understanding what AFL was all about, and then had a really, I went home and then trained really hard and sort of made some progressions early in that pre-season, started to feel a bit more comfortable with things. I got a phone, I got a car.
Yeah,
I moved out. We had a host lady who was really, really good in my first year, and then moved out and into the big wide world.
So when because I suppose this is where I want to go later on with around recruitment, I suppose list management, recruitment, development, to not just become a good and successful team, but also on the coaching front too, of being able to mould a group together.
Yeah.
What were the standout things that happened when Bomber came into then, I suppose? Was there a conversation that happened with you after that first season, or with recruiters? Were you actually recruited to be a halfback? What was the time like then? And do you think they actually expected you to have the career that you had? Is probably the question.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And it's, it's funny how things, there's so many, when I look back at my career, there's so many sliding door moments. I really could have been out of the system within 2 years and probably back home, working on a farm or something. It's just, so I had some really good people that gave me some really good advice along the way. And Brendan McCartney, who was one, the first year, he just goes and I guess Bomber was fantastic. He saw potential in me, which I probably didn't see in myself. So he was great for encouragement and continue to, just do as much as you can and continue to, work hard, and things will fall into line for you. So, there's obviously been many things early in your career that you go, you look back on now and say, well, that was a pivotal play. Like it could have went left or right, but it went the right way.
What stands out of those? So you were mentioning Brendan McCartney,
Yeah.
like those, like
Well, I was fortunate enough to get drafted with a big group of people, and as you mentioned, like some of those players were like, and you come through, and that's like, so you build that bond together. So Cameron Ling was a local boy, so we used him a little bit to sort of understand what was, Geelong was all about. He was massive for that. But then Joel Corey come in. He was from Western Australia, so he's in the same boat as me. Didn't really have any, connection, family. So you do spend a lot of time together, and you do, form some real strong relationships together. And he was one that sort of, and I've told this story to the St Kilda boys, like he was the one that I gravitated to. Just he would be the one that would, do a little bit extra, or he would, be in on his day off, and I'll be like, well, he's doing it, so I'll do it. And then it's sort of snowballed from there. And so having really good people, around you and above you, showing you what to do was really important. And then, as I said, like the people that obviously really invested in you, I didn't want to let them down. So first and foremost, your family, back home, like it was important to give this my best shot because, of what they have done for me to give me the opportunity. But then also the Geelong Footy Club for giving me the opportunity, Stephen Wells, Mark Thompson, and then you got your players. So I was like, well, if they're committed, I'm committed. So let's just see where it takes me. And it was probably the first 4 or 5 years. I had a heap of injuries in my, year 3 and year 4. Missed a lot of games. So it was just like, it was always like you're starting to feel good, and then that's just what happens in footy. Like not too many guys come through, and maybe Joel Selwood just comes through and just knocks it out of the park straight away. So it was a lot going into those early years where it was like, really hard to navigate through. But fortunately enough, you stick at it, and the tide sort of turns, and you get a bit of good luck along the way, and then you start to kick on with your career.
So personally, I suppose that was like your own journey around, finding yourself like belonging and stuff at that level, and knowing you can play. And if there's more to that, I'd love to go into it.
Yeah.
But with Geelong in itself, we had Tom Harley on, who is obviously an amazing leader, player, everything. I'm not sure if you heard that. Did you hear that one?
No,
not yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No,
okay. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
And I asked him his top 3 cats of all time.
Yeah.
Who his
Tough
top 3
question.
cats were.
Yeah.
Tough question.
Yeah.
And he danced around it for a bit, but I had to get an answer out of him. He said Gary Ablett Jr. 1.
Clear.
Scarlett 2.
Yeah.
You 3.
Really? Yeah, that's pretty massive. Obviously, those first 2 that you mentioned are icons of the game and icons of the football club. So for him, and Tom is someone that we all really respect, and I was fortunate enough to, work underneath him and see him, as a captain and as a leader. He was so, and he still is, so balanced and measured, but had a real sense of bringing everyone together, like no matter who you were and where you're from, and that's a real strength. And he was able to do that, and along the way set really clear standards that we should all be looking to achieve. So yeah, I've been fortunate to be involved with so many great people along the way, and obviously being at a successful club for a long period of time, there's some really key people that and even the people on the edges that they might not get as much recognition. Like we had, which we might get to, but we had so many really strong individuals, but they were all for the team, and that was the most powerful thing.
Who are you referring to in that? Like what, teammates or just in administration? Or
everywhere really. It was, and again, Geelong is probably once, if you look at when I come through, was the end of '99. Same was when Bomber Thompson come in and Brian Cook come in, and the club was, from all reports, down on its knees a fair bit. So there was obviously lots of things that we didn't see as players that went underneath to get the club in a really strong position. And then obviously the on-field success sort of come off the back of the off-field stability and the key people driving that. So, yeah, my whole journey at Geelong was just full of really good people, no matter what role they were in. And like you hear Brian Cook speak. You used to hear Frank Costa speak. Like it was all about the people and the values and getting the right people into the right slots. And then from there, like you can. I remember Frank always used to say, like you get in his weird way, you get the people in first, and then you can sort of teach them the skills, or you can, as long as you've got good people, they'll sort of flourish. So that was probably the thing that really stood out. Like no matter if you're a player or if you're an administrator or if you're, back then a boot starter, like those people were really solid, strong people and really invested in being the best that they could be, but also like at the end of the day making the club great.
I suppose like a fast forwarding question to the present day now, like, I know there's been, modern day around like coaching and where you want to go with that, and obviously touted as like a senior coach one day, which is really exciting. Do you, I feel like the fan of football now is, and when I say fan, probably someone who has been inside but understands it a bit more, how important it is to have the right team around you as well. And you look at teams like Geelong and Hawthorn that have probably had sustained success. And something that I really look at, maybe having a very short football career, was around, like, it can't just fall on a coach. And like you look at Geelong and like how important recruiting is, how important development is, like nearly incredibly important to develop. And then also just a steady team around them that doesn't fold under pressure. Yeah. Because if you don't get the right people in, you don't develop them, then the coach doesn't have much to work with.
Yeah. And we all know that the lifespan, if we're talking about a player, like it's so, limited and short, well, it can be. And I did this exercise just by myself not long ago. Like I actually got a piece of paper and I got a player, and I just did little lines to what that player sort of needed for them to be the best that they could be. And you're right, there's so many things. Like there's obviously, for the player, there's their own, circumstances, whether they got, family, partners, like that plays a huge role. But then once you get to the club, there's the, they get coming in, like what do they know about the game? So you need really strong development coaches. You need, PDMs really, really critical these days, that they look after the welfare. Then you've got your, your mental health, whether it's, performance or whether it's just, day-to-day stuff. Like there's so many things that go into the pot that probably when you go into a game, you're sitting in level 3 that you might not understand, for that guy to perform at his best on the weekend. So that's the beauty about being in the inner sanctum. Like you get to feel that, and you get to see that, and you get to hopefully influence that in a small way, be a part of that. So, yeah, and we spend so much time together at a football club. Like you're not just a football coach. You're actually, a friend, a mentor, a sounding board. Hopefully you can provide some wisdom and some guidance and some, leadership on not just football, on all things going on in someone's life.
So that exercise you were doing, what was it like? Was that just something you came up with, or is it just like?
Yeah, it was, and I do these weird things a lot, but not everyone knows. But now they might know. But because I'm always thinking like how and I always try to because I've been there, put myself in the player's shoes. So, and if I want to be a coach further down the track, like what are the things that I should be doing and looking for? So I'm always looking for, I guess, little different things, and I do like to be creative when I can. So it was just a little exercise. It was like all these things are really important, as you said. Like it's not just he doesn't just need good coaching. Like he needs these other things to help him be the best. And then because all you want to do is provide the best the best platform or the best facilities or the best people for the player to be his best. Now whether that's playing one game or whether it's playing 200 games or whether – so everyone's got their ceiling. But, like, at the end of the day, if you could walk – and as a player, if you can walk into a club and you can say, well, I did this and this and this. Now, I did this on the football field. I did this off the football field. I learned all these things, whether I'm there for 2 years or 15 years. You just want that player, that person to be a better result when they walk out, whenever that is. So that's probably, there's a lot that goes into coaching and managing and mentoring and footy is such a big industry. There's so many people involved, and that's probably another thing you do need to balance up, and particularly for the player, like how many people are influencing this player, like, and how many are good influences and how many are possibly blockers or barriers. Like there's going to be a push and pull there on who's doing what.
I think that's like the biggest thing I've thought about with senior coaching or like running a business.
Yeah,
is do you watch Suits? Do you watch
Man,
Suits?
I'm shocking with TV. Like I just don't.
No, that's probably a good thing.
I don't watch much
Okay.
TV, so
well, there's a show called Suits. Okay,
I've heard about it. It's a bit old, isn't it?
Well, it's like old enough.
Right.
It's still around.
I'll let you get to this.
But there's this
point of the story.
well, there's this analogy, and honestly, I've never nailed these, but it comes to this point where this like Harvey Specter, who would say, he's like the senior assistant coach.
Yeah.
And he walks into the like head coach's office or like the major partner of the law firm, and he says, mate, like the guys are sitting there like reading the newspaper, like not doing anything that he looks like. And he goes, mate, do you do anything around here? And the guy goes, mate, if I had something to do, I wouldn't be doing my job. I was like, it's such an interesting like analogy to look at sometimes, like when you're in control or you're ahead of something, always trying to influence stuff actually then just disarms or doesn't be able to motivate people around you to do the role. And it's not saying sit back and don't do anything.
No, yeah.
But it's like saying you've got to put the right people around you.
Yeah.
And realistically, you're trying to make yourself somewhat redundant so that you're empowering other people.
Yeah, and that's spot on. Like I've seen that, firsthand. Like the senior coach obviously plays a critical factor in a lot of things, but he can't do everything. So it's really important for him to be able to have trust in the people to do their roles now, and then for the club to employ the right people to do those roles. So there's a lot, and I guess the best sort of get that, I reckon, where you sort of got the senior figure, whether it is the CEO or whether it's a senior coach or whether at the top, but you got all these, people flowing underneath him that are sort of in flow and in rhythm and in motion and doing their part, but it all just goes into this beautiful thing that manifests into success. So it is critical. Like the leader obviously has got his fingerprints in a lot of things, but he's not actually walking into every meeting.
Do you think as well, this is a genuine question, I don't know the answer to this, but I find in footy as well, everyone thinks there's like an answer to one way you can do it. Yeah. And I'm sure, through your time of working with Bomber to then, now working with Ross, and is there one way? Like what similarities do those coaches have? And then what other, I'm sure there's a million differences that can be done, especially like the game then versus now. Like there's probably some key fundamentals, but different stuff as well.
It's such a deep question, really. Yeah. Like and this is, I think this is the beauty about our game. Like it is, there is not one way or one perfect way to do it. So that's why you're taking all these things along the way. You sort of, this is, now I'm putting myself in the driver's seat. Yep. This is how I think it should go. This is how I would do it. And that doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. But at the end of the day, that's what I believe in. That's where you sort of, I guess your authenticity comes into play. Like you got to be true to what you believe over the journey. You've taken all these things in, and then this is what I believe in this situation. Now you're gonna get advice, and you're gonna get help, and you're gonna get influences from other people, and you go, oh shit, I haven't thought of that. Like that's a pretty cool idea. I'll grab that and I'll put that in as well. We'll mix it all together. But there's not, from my perspective, there's not you can't just go, there's a 10 dot point criteria that you have to have. Like it's, and it's becoming more and more unique with the people that are coming in, and like you've just got to be flexible as well. Like we were only having this conversation this morning actually. Like how we did things 5 years ago is like totally different. But if you go back 10 years, it's like what are you talking about? Like it just changes so quickly. Like, and the people coming through, like you're gonna get people, like we're all just passing through, no matter where we're coming. Like you're gonna get people that are here for, you know, a short time, here for a long time. Like there's people coming and going all the time. So I think that's the beauty about our game, and even the way, like, and that's like credit to. So I played under Chris Scott, I coached under Chris Scott. Like for him to be able to, like, and the good coaches to be able to do it for a long period of time, have to be able to be, you know, adaptive and flexible. Like they can't just be that same person forever. So
there's been a real, I feel like a bit of an ego death in footy for a long time now. I think it was one of those things like, I know what I'm doing. Let's go this way. Yeah. Versus the modern coach.
Yeah.
Can understand that they might not always be on top, and this is not a knock on anyone at all. But just in my experience, I remember when I was playing footy at Carlton, Mick Malthouse came across and had a winning game style at that period with Collingwood, and tried to replicate that at Carlton. And it just didn't work because it was just a different team. Yeah. Like it didn't have the same players in it.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward, I remember going to the Giants, and whilst I was often in the bibs on the other end of this, I remember like Leon Cameron, the way he coached that team, they call it the Orange Tsunami. Whereas from report, like I'd heard this after I'd left, he's actually quite a defensive coach, but couldn't really implement that game plan because the players didn't. They had all these guys that were offensive weapons. So it's like, even though he wanted to do it one way, it's like, well, this is who I'm coaching. Yeah. So the question probably is, when you're developing a game style or your own game style, what mix do you put in of like your overall ethos versus the players you have, and then the players that you bring in?
Yeah. Well, there's probably two parts to that. Like you're either coming in and you're going, this is how I'm doing it, and these are the people I need, or you're going in, okay, this is the people we've got, so let's maximise what we've got and utilise that. So there's obviously strategy at play with both of those scenarios, and it's probably depending on you, the coach, and also the audience, which is the group, the players. So what have we got at our, you know, as our weapons here, and how do we maximise that? Or look, this is how I want to do it. We need A, B, and C to get that done. So there's two clear paths with that. And you can have a blend of both, clearly. Like you can go in and say, this is how I think the game should be played, and this is what I would like to get. So what have we got in that? We've got these guys. So maybe can we, you know, have I got 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? We have to get this in. So for that to be a blend.
There's so much that, like, you've got to really assess where the list is at, what you're going for. And I suppose even with St Kilda, you know, I've worked with Sauce before, who you know is very aggressive with like who he wants to get in and go through it. With coaches, like curious, and I'm sure it's again across different clubs, it's different. But how much do like yourself and Ross and the guys have communication with list management to be like, this is who we want to go for, and target certain people for that style? Like, do you like that part of the game, by the way, as well, like bringing players in and that?
Well, I think now when you look at the landscape of the competition, like now it's like a crazy period, right? Like there's people just walking indoors, walking out of doors, and that's what we've created as an industry. So we've got to embrace that. Like, and it comes two ways. Like people are probably going to leave your club, and if we want to get people in, then let's try and look to get better. So there's obviously that element of the game that's more prevalent now than ever. Whereas once you have to do a lot of that stuff yourself. Now, just speaking of St Kilda, like we have really gone hard at the draft the last 3-4 years and really got a lot of youth in that we want to get in. So that was a clear strategy and a clear path. And we feel we've done a really good job with that. Now, time will tell how successful those players will be. But the strategy was clear, that was what we were doing. And then you get to a point now where 2, 3, 4 years into their careers, like we got the opportunity to potentially bring some players in the door, and then you go, well, what type of players do we need? And then it's like, and can we get them, and how do we get them? So there's obviously 3 ways you can get them these days. It's, you can draft players, you can trade for players, or free agency.
Yeah. Do you like just with that free agency like model? You've seen what even Geelong have done over the last few years with players as well. Do you like the way it's going with that? And like, it can be hard, can't it?
Yeah.
I have a proposition for it.
Right.
So at the moment how there's like not enough of the free agents going to teams.
Yeah.
I think what should happen is, say for example, a Zach Merritt situation where he wants to get to Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Reportedly, allegedly, we'll say.
You got the scoop.
Well, yeah, I think me and everyone else. But if he wants to get to Hawthorn and that happens, they should have to get that job done. That's best for Essendon. So they've got first right of refusal. If Hawthorn and Essendon can't come to agreement and it's not good enough for Essendon because he's contracted, it should be the next best person for the club should get that. So if West Coast want to give overs or give a better deal, like West Coast should be able to jump in, Adelaide should be able to jump in for him, Port Adelaide should be able to jump in.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just the clubs lose so much power.
Yeah, you've given that a bit of thought.
Too much thought. Yeah.
More thought than what I have.
Yeah.
So I'm in the space where, like, these are the rules. This is what the AFL have sort of given us, and these are parameters, and then
work it out.
Like we've just got to do our best to fit in with them. So, the rules are clear for all 18 teams. So we've got to maximise our opportunity within the rules.
Hey, Nasai Wanganeen-Malera.
Yeah, it's not a bad player.
Pretty good. What was it, like seeing, obviously had a great year last year as well, but this year was pretty crazy to see, him taking his game to the next level. What has he been like as a player? And you talk about before around like what a player needs to play their best.
Yeah.
What do you think he drew on to get to his best footy? Because he seems like quite a reserved young kid.
Yeah, yes, he was. He was a really reserved person. But he'll speak more than what I should. But he always had this sort of inner. I sense he always had this inner belief that he was going to be a really good player. Just having a relationship with him, he was. But he's come out of himself a lot more. Like he's like, and it's been fantastic to be able to watch that. And you sort of take yourself back to he's moved into state. I did that. He was pretty quiet and pretty shy. Yeah, I was that. And then he realises that these are the things I need to do to give myself a chance to play really good footy, and he does that. Like he's so diligent, and he's so professional, and he's so driven. So again, like the people that sit in level 2 and see how he performs on the weekend and go, "Wow, he's a star." Yeah, he's a star, but he does all these things behind the scenes that goes into the pot to give him the best chance. And we're so fortunate to obviously have him and see him flourish before our eyes.
On a sort of not comedic, but somewhat like the game against Melbourne. Yeah. Like that's one of the craziest things to watch.
Oh, well, it was. Like so we're obviously
because you can't do much as a coach.
We're sitting in the stands. We're sitting in like the coach's box level 2 at Marvel, and I think it's 3 or 4 minutes into. So you're literally like the Marvel coach's box. You're literally like in the stands. So there's all these people get up like 3 minutes into the last score and leave. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So they're leaving, and then all of a sudden this thing starts to just snowball, and we're just sitting back as almost as fans ourselves, particularly in the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes. You can't have much influence as a coach. Like the runner can't go out with 3 minutes to go, so you're actually just sitting back and going, let's just watch this and see how this plays out. And like you're in one of those games where. You're just a fan. Like it's crazy. And like I remember Brendan Bolton. Like he was. So I was sitting there, and Ross was sitting there, and he was over the other side. And like he was just saying at the end of the game, he goes, "Mate, I've never been involved in a game like that. Like that's." And you could just like he was almost floating in the air. Like it was, and that was the sense. Like and I got the story. Like my kids come up with my wife. She does a great job. She brings the kids to nearly every game, and there was one of them. So they played footy that morning. One of them didn't want to go, and one of them wanted to go. And then it was like, so I left the house going, okay, I'm not sure if they're coming or not. I think at that stage they were staying home.
Mm.
So then they somehow convinced the younger one to come. And they're just like, we couldn't have missed that game. I was like, well, you actually could have if you didn't go. I'm like, so these are things like with footy, that's what I say to the kids. I said, you got to stay to the end because you never know.
The last play as well with, the free kick with Marshall, the communication between the two. Like, was that, situational training is obviously a big thing in footy. And Bolts, who's obviously at Saints, I remember at Carlton, that's all we trained. We couldn't really get ourselves in the situation to win, but it was a lot of the stuff that we do. Like, how was that taught? Like,
I'd love to take some credit, but and this is what happens, I think, a lot in games. Because there's so much, people analysing games these days. Like, you go, oh, has that been set up? Well, a lot of the times, a lot of things happen, and this is why we play the game. Like, your instincts come in. Like, there's so much training that we can do. There's so much education we can give, but there's the bounce of the ball is going to go that way, or the contest is going to be full off hands that way. Like, those pivotal moments, or the ability to actually influence and impact like that centre bounce crew did. Like, that was really sharp, and obviously to have a plan in the heat of the moment, be clear thinking, and then two, to be able to have the tools to pull it off and execute it. Like we couldn't script that.
Who, jumping around a bit, but like back to your own playing days, like it felt like that, your team was just so well drilled and versed, like, like Scarlett, yourself, Tom Harley, you got Jimmy Bartel, Gary Blett Jr., the names go on and on. How do you only get better at that by putting yourself in those situations? And I suppose, momentum's such a crazy thing as well, and belief. Like, belief and momentum. Yeah. Again, this is a weird thought I think about too much while you're drawing your diagrams. I always think, like, I was watching the Brownlow last night. Yeah. You know how, like, you watch the first 3 rounds and you see the teams that finish bottom, but they actually, if they had won the first 2 games, you never know where they could have gone. Like, they just get pipped, or vice versa. Yeah. I think you guys beat Geelong. Yep. Early in the season. It's like little things like that go, sliding doors we were talking about before. Who knows what would have happened? So if you get that momentum, you can just go on and play great footy. Yeah. Do you, like, what happened with you guys in that? And who was, like, some really key players in your team, including yourself? Yeah, no, there's a lot. Like, and Bomber was really strong in what he believed in the game. And we obviously got a young crew come together. So he was really good at teaching us what he wanted and how he wanted us to play. And then we just train it. Like, we do a lot of the same drills a lot of the time until we got really good at it. And then he's like, well, okay, now you can just go out and play. And you've trained it. I've educated you. And then he was always big on, like, play on instinct within the team rules. So we've got these things that we want you to do, but in the moment you choose the better option. You do the right thing. So it was over to you a little bit. And then I used to Melbourne games. I used to drive with Matty Scarlett every week. He'd drive or I drive. And we just put on the music and whatever. We were just driving the games. And we're in this really sweet spot for probably 3 or 4 or 5 years where we're like if we play to our best today, we win. Like, and that's a crazy feeling to have. Like, it's and if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. But if we play to our best, we win. Like, and that's so powerful. But the shared experience with that, with that stuff, when you play a lot, when you train a lot together, like, you had the little nuances. Like, so if the ball was getting kicked into Tom Harley or Matthew Scarlett and it was getting kicked to that side, and I was, well, he's going to win like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. So I would make the decision that he's going to win it. Or if there's a ground ball there and Gary Ablett's near it, well, he's probably going to win it. So then, like, so off the shared experience and understanding your teammates, you can make even better decisions. So that was pretty cool to be in that sort of. And you don't really understand it when you're in it because you're just like, okay, I need to do this week. But you like, it was almost like you're in this state of, like, flow. Like, it was just like,
and I tend not to watch like games back. It was, I don't know how long ago. It must have been like 5 or 6 years ago. I watched the 2007 grand final back, and I was like, wow, that is awesome football. Like, we won by 119 points, but like just the way that we played as a team was pretty cool.
Are you into like visualization? Before, obviously it's a massive part of the game now around the mental side of the game and scenarios.
Yeah.
Do you think back then you were doing that without even knowing what you were doing?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, this is the thing that's come a long way. Being able to, as you say, there's only so much physical work we can do. So how do we get better as people, as coaches, as players? Like, there's visualization. But it wasn't sort of a thing or a tool that we had at our exposure when I played. But you look back and go, okay, clearly I was doing it because I was like I play on Silverioli, for example. Like, so if I have to do this against him. So every time you play, like there's things that go into your kit bag, and then like without being, I'm in the shower the night before. I'm like, okay, well, I've got to keep him golf side. I've got to do this. So it was like, so you're effectively doing it without actually knowing you're doing it. And now it's like become more of a thing. You go, okay, well, I was doing it, but at what level? But yeah, it's I think that's when you play a lot of footy over a long period of time, you do pick up those nuances over time.
Talking about teammates before, and it would be hard to. I'm going to ask you as well. Your top three.
Yeah.
But just on that part before, I don't want to skip over because I think of the Geelong fraternity, or even just any AFL lover. But hearing, I think that we forget sometimes that players, even at the top of their game, are just human, right? And like that little thing before you said, which would be nothing to you, but yourself and Matty Scarlett driving down the highway just listening to music. Like, I could see so many people just be like, fuck, that is so cool and rant. Like, just that
I've got
you
a
would
good
do
story
that.
about that.
Yeah.
So it was actually my turn to drive 2009 grand final. So we're driving up, and the roads are, because we're going up early, the roads are pretty clear, but for some reason we had all the old footy anthems on, like Up There Kazali and all those, One Day in September. So we had the music cranking, and I'm driving, and then I'm driving, and then he's like, you just missed a turn off. So I've gone down like Kingsway instead of going off Power Street to go to the MCG, and I'm like, oh, well, that's all right, we'll be right. Like, so it was all, it was just, I think the more you do it, and the first, and that's maybe, so 2007, like, grand final was a lot different. Like, I was stressed. I was like, oh, I got to do this. This is the most important day of my life, and there's like, don't talk to me. But in the space of 2 years, like, we're sitting there listening to old anthems and missing turn-offs. So it's you learn to adapt.
Amazing. Who, if you had to put together a top three, you can have a couple of special mentions.
Oh gosh, man.
Yeah.
People ask this all the time. Like, it's so when you play with so many good players, but that's sitting on the fence, and that's not what I'll do. But like, I sort of tend to say, well, there's top three players, right? And then there's also top three teammates, which I think are different categories.
I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
So one guy who was really influential, and this is what I talk about, doesn't really get mentioned a lot, was Max Rook.
Yeah.
And one of my good mates, he's in my wedding party. The way that he sort of got the group to come together, the way he played the game, the way he sort of sacrificed himself for the team, like he was the ultimate team player, and everyone just loved playing with him. Like, so it was, and he still is quite quirky. Like, he had these little things. I remember one year he was like, I want you to write down, you got us all in the room. I want you to write, this is the start of the year, no games be played. I want you to write down, I hope I get this right, what are you going to do to sacrifice to win the grand final? And he's like, so everyone's writing down, I'll do this. And he's like, okay, put him in that bowl there. And so everyone's just sitting there, and then he gets a lighter and he lights it up. And he like gets all the ashes and that, and he's got this like cool like totem thing, and he's put it in. And he's like, okay, I don't care what you said, but you've committed to it. And he's like, so that little totem thing come to all our games and that. It was like.
So that wasn't coach led, it was just purely him.
That was just him being random. But
I love that.
Yeah, that's so good.
I love that stuff.
And it was just so powerful. Like it was like, oh wow, like that's so cool. But like obviously Gary Ablett Jr. for a period of three or 4 years there, like he just was unstoppable. Like into the fact that like our game plan was like just give it to Gaz and then like block and whatever, like just give it to him no matter where he was. Like he was so good. And then Matty Scarlett, who's one of my really good mates, like he sort of changed the way fullbacks played. Like he was in that aggressive mindset. Was like, well, yeah, I'm playing on a really good forward, but I'm just going to win the ball and then I'm going to take off and then I'm going to start attack. So those two would be like clear standouts. But then I go like, well, where does Joel sit within this? Like, where does Tom Hawkins sit within this? Then you've got like Jimmy Bartell, you got Steve Johnson, Paul Chapman. So there's Joel Corey. Like,
there's a lot.
There's so many. Like, and then I guess that's the fortunate thing. Like, and we don't catch up as much as we would like to. And Lingy, if you're listening, he's the chief organiser. I don't think we've organised one for this year, but everyone throughout that period, like there was a 3-year period there, like 2007 through to 2011, like anyone that was involved, VFL staff, gets an email and says we're meeting here at this point. And like if you can get there, you get there. So it's and then that's what I'm obviously privileged that I played football for a long period of time to have success, but it's actually the friendships and the relationships that you have. Like, and I went to the prelim last week and Paul Chapman's sitting there. I haven't seen him for like, so it's just Harry Taylor's there. Like, so it's so cool to have, like no matter what's going on and what's going to happen, you've still got that.
Yeah. To come back to.
Yeah. Like you still got that.
The question I had as well around, you're talking before about the totem. Do you, as a coach now, or even as a player, what sort of motivator or what sort of coach are you in that sense? Are you a storyteller? Like, are you a themes operator? Like, what do you like to do?
Well, it's a bit. There's a lot. It is hard when you're an assistant coach to sort of create. You can create sort of,
or even like one-on-one with certain players. Like,
I guess it depends on your relationship, what you're trying to achieve as well. Like there's obviously this is the art of coaching. There's so many different ways to stimulate or different ways to influence or coach. Like, so you might need a certain thing today, but in 4 days' time you might need something else. So it's just the ability to understand, and that's where the relationship piece comes into it. Like I need to know, as within reason, as much as you're comfortable with about you and what makes you tick and what makes you, motivates you, how you like. Some people like to be visual, some people like to hear, some people like to do. Like, so it's and that's probably the hard thing. Like when one-on-one, it's a lot easier because you know the person. When you've got a line group, which is maybe 10 to 12, it's a bit easier. When you got 40, like how do you cater for the guy that wants that and the guy that wants that, and how do you blend that and simplify that so it's the message is sort of sticking no matter where you are?
One thing I wish I was better at as a player, and I wish I was like had a better connection with a coach or someone to be able to work out, is like what you think motivates you or how you like to prepare. Is that actually what is best for you?
Yeah.
Because I think now, like, throughout my career or even just business or anything, I avoided hard conversations or, I thought, a gentle approach to coaching would be great, have a relationship. Yeah. But what I've actually worked out later, being a bit older, is like that, whilst I thought that was good for me, like it didn't really help me at all. Like I like really honest, just like, I don't care if we don't talk about what we do on the weekends, but like as long as I just know where I stand, like that's all I needed.
And I think that's really important. Like no matter what relationship you have with the person, you just want to be told where they're at,
Yeah.
or what do I need to get better, or what am I not doing well, or what do you want from me? So you like no matter who you are, you just want that in some form. You might not lock it straight up, so you can sort of hopefully soften the blow along the way. But eventually, you need to get to that point. And we'll say, well, this is what I think, and this is what you should do, and this is what we feel is needed right now, rather than put A, B, and C. Then you got to try and figure it out. Like, let's just work through what it is, so that at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is improve you, improve me, improve us. Like, so let's just get it done.
I suppose like the most public story of that, and I'd love to get your sort of memories and memories of the situation, but I'm sure it was done with 20, 30, 40 other players since, and even to this day, but with Gary Ablett Jr. prior to him sort of that breakout 3, 4, 5 year period you're talking about you guys sitting him down and having that conversation with him. Like, do you remember that sort of taking place? Was it
I do. I remember the whole sort of scenario playing out, not just him. So it has been documented enough, I think, that I can share enough. But it was leading teams to come in, and as most people know how they operate, like everyone gets a turn at taking some feedback, positive RFIs, and what the group really wants you to focus on. And his was just based around, again, that belief that, geez, if you could actually, give a little bit more in this area here, we think that you could almost be unstoppable. So we were coming from we as in the playing group, coming from a place of like trying to help you, but also help us. Like, if we didn't think it was going to work out maybe to the extent it did, but and to his credit, and this is the thing around individuals. Like, there's so much that makes up an individual and their motivation factors, and we've all seen them come in. Like, I've got some really good mates that are really good players at local footy, and a couple of them had opportunities to go further, put their foot in the water and go, that's not for me. Like, I can't commit to that. I just want to go down to the pub on a Saturday and have 20 beers. Like, so that's fine. That's fine. But then there's the other extreme levels, like that just want to be the best they can be all the time. So there's the individual motivation within yourself that you can't sort of, I guess, measure for what that person really, how much they really want it. So he took the feedback on. He did what we wanted to do, and as I said, he became unstoppable. It was pretty cool.
How do you reflect on that now as like a player and a coach in a successful team, but also like you see a lot of young guys come through the door now in AFL, and I think there's a lot of I could speak on behalf of a lot of young men, and you might experience this when you were 18 as well, but the notion of being respect versus being liked in a footy club and how, I'm thinking about your relationship with Matty Scarlett driving in the car down. Yes, you're mates, but I'm sure you two had friction at some point, and you hear about Stevie J and Paul Chapman, and yes, there was friction, but they were the first blokes to nut it out off the field. And how do you see that in the modern game now, and how do you think there's still, like, how do you coach that?
Yeah, it's really,
it's quite hard.
It is hard. I reckon it's becoming harder as well. I'm not sure why, but like there's always, no matter what level of sport or football or friendship you have, like there's always going to be, and we got taught these lessons along the way. Like, football is unique because there's 20, 22 players, and then there's 44 on the list. So there's so many people. Now, I don't have to be best mates with you, but for our relationship to work, I need to respect who you are and what you do, and vice versa. So that's a really important factor for teams to be able to flourish. You don't have to always, get along with each other, and you can have different views and you can have different opinions, and that's healthy. But at the end of the day, we all come together, and I've got an obligation to respect you and how you go about it, which is maybe different to me. But at the end of the day, as long as your values are the same as the organisations, and then we're okay. We can coexist. It's like a marriage, right?
Well, yeah.
You don't always see eye to eye, but I respect my wife.
Yeah, me too, if you're listening, darling. No, it's a great point, and I think I think you are right, though, in the sense that harder conversations aren't as prevalent maybe as they... I'm not in the game anymore, but I think that even just with young people in general, you can avoid friction. And I think back, if I could give my own younger self advice, it's just like lean into it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think feedback or any of those things, I used to think it was like a fucking personal attack on my bloodline, you know.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, people just wanted you to get better.
But that is the like it's the flight or fight response, isn't it? Like we're all sort of, when we get feedback, critical feedback, it's like, but when you can take a deep breath and you can say, oh, okay, well, I hear that. Maybe I don't agree, but I hear it and I respect it, and I'll take it on. To what level I take it on, it's probably up to me. Like if I really respect you and you're coming from a really good place, then I'm like all for it. If our relationship's a little bit different, I'm still respecting what you're saying, and then I can do what I want with that. Do I take it and bring it on, or do I push it away and let it bounce off? But and that's the more you go through life, the more you go through challenges, the ups and downs. Like you're just learning. Like and that's where I'm at right now. Like I'm just grateful that I'm in a position to be able to learn so much off really good people around me. And I love what the game, gives you. Gives you opportunities. It gives you like it's so unique and like I've been fortunate. I've dabbled in a few things that have flopped along the way, but it's you come back to the like high pressure, high performing, high aligning environments. Like it's pretty hard to get. Like if I'm going to, without speaking out of term here, like going to Coles and working for them, I assume they've got really good values and really good standards as well. But it's at the end of the day, like that's that performance element that we get judged rightly or wrongly as a organisation, as a club, because of the members pay their money.
It's a really good point. It's fun, something that's come up in my life a lot lately, even just with the business here. Is like a really great saying that I love is like, what gets you here doesn't get you there.
Yeah.
And like we've sort of hit this point, even just on a life of show and everything, where I'm like, this isn't the next thing. And I've sort of lost a bit of a North Star of like, what even I want that to be.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you can just like go off on these tracks and like opportunities pop up and you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't really even want to be here because I didn't know what was actually aligned. So like I find myself in that position a lot at the moment. That's
so true. And that's so true to football. And that's where you need to have a strong philosophy or a strong, as you say, a North Star that keeps you aligned. Like, because we can all drift.
Yeah.
It's just how far do we drift, and then do we come back? Do we actually come back to what is our core purpose? And that's why footy clubs are so good, because every footy club's got their set of values. Everyone's got their their key pillars that they're aligning for. So there's going to be so many different scenarios and unique positions that along the way, whether it's on field, off field, that are going to challenge those things. That as long as you got strong enough people to actually then
bring it in,
realign to where we are, and it's always team first above the individual, then you'll be okay. But it's a challenge.
It is. Hey, a personal, not super personal, but just in terms of yourself, like you were talking before about this this sheet with the lines. Okay, I know you brought that up in passing, and I've just doubled down on it 15 times today. But if you were drawing that for yourself, being father of three, commuting from Geelong to work, high pressure job, all those things, you're ultimately trying to get the best out of your players.
Yeah.
What's on your sheet to get the best out of yourself? And do you think you're nailing it?
Oh, it's so good. It's a great question. Am I nailing it? No. Like you're never fully comfortable with what you're trying to do. But I was fortunate enough last December that through the club I went and did a leadership course overseas in Boston, and it was all about like your authentic self, and it was a lot about your North Star and being true to yourself. And it's not until you had to do a lot of prep work into it, right? So it's not until you start to sort of dive into yourself, which we don't do often enough, probably much as what we should. Like we actually dive into, past experiences, all these things that, obviously, as I said, sliding doors, but eventually there's a guiding principle or philosophy there for you. And like family, so mine was, family first. Like, so being a father, being a husband, being a son, being a brother, like it's really important role to me. So you're always going to get challenged within that. So but as long as I can put my family first in whatever I do, well then we'll be okay and I'll be okay. So that's a really strong thing to keep me grounded or keep me aligned or driven. And then there's obviously the relationships and being who you are is important to me. Like, and probably the more I've done this and the more exposure I've had to people is actually really understanding that everyone is unique and everyone has, a really different way of doing things. Some people are going to be more closer than others, but there's such a spectrum of people and philosophies and the way we do things, and probably hasn't been until the last couple of years that I've actually really embraced that, like, and probably opened myself up to not close those people off, like just let everything come into me and sort of embrace like all these different people and who they are.
I love it. Can I tell you a really boring? It's not that boring. It's just a little story, but I love it because it's taught me a lot in this sense. So there's a homeless guy, and there's another guy that walks past him, and this guy's come from like family, believes in like power and strength, and sort of came from nothing, rose to the top to sort of like take care of his life and earn money and support his family. And walks past homeless guy, and homeless guy goes, "Mate, do you have like any spare money?" And the guy goes like, "Mate, fuck off. Like, I've done this myself. Like, I'm not going to give you any money. Like, this is where I've come from. Why didn't you do the same thing?" Anyway, the next guy walks past, and this guy sort of has grown up in a wealthier family where he understands that, people come from different backgrounds and is a bit more empathetic to be like, I wasn't I was born into a really lucky life.
Yeah.
He walks past, gives him $10. And long story short, the people that are like running this sort of question, they go like, "Which one are you?" And you have to sort of like pick which one you are. And then they're like, "Which one's wrong and right?"
Yeah. The
part isn't that one is wrong or right, or it's just knowing that both exist. Yeah. And like that's in footy clubs and in workplaces, it's understanding that, if you're not any of those people, they're just the people that are there, and understanding why Nasai is motivated versus why, Tom de Koning, if we land, is motivated. So I think that for me was like such a Mr. Miyagi moment, being like, we're not all motivated by the same thing. Everyone's got such different motivation stories, as you said before, with the course that you were doing. So it's how to tap into just understand that different motivations exist. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, we're all, particularly at football clubs, and we're talking, life. But if you strip it back to football clubs, like we're all actually trying to do the same thing. We're actually all trying to, be the best individually, but also be the best collectively, so that we can have success. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a player, a coach, like, you're ringing up members to re-sign. Like, everyone at the end of the day has got the club first. So it's like, there's going to be different ways of doing it. There's going to be different philosophies around that. But again, like, you come back to that, that team first, club first.
Hey, mate, you've been extremely generous with your time. I've got just a couple more for you because I can't go without asking. But like, working with Ross, what's that? Like, I've never really met.
I'm surprised it's taking you this long because it's always my number one question.
No, well, I'm interested in.
Everyone goes, "Well, what's he like?"
Yeah, well, I feel I'm interested in, what he's like. Chatting to you today as well with like surrounding yourself with people that are different. Like, I feel like there is some differences there, but there's obviously some great mutual respect and love for the game in it. So like, what have, I suppose, you learnt from him, or, how does that relate to what you've done at Geelong and other people that have sort of influenced you in footy? Yeah,
so obviously Geelong was all I knew for 17 years of playing and then another 5 years of coaching, which I stepped straight into. So, that's a huge part of my life, 23 years at the one place, coming through from when I was 18. So they have a huge impact and influence on the person that I have become. And as we all do, we get to a point of time where I was like, well, I need to challenge myself and stimulate myself outside of this place to see how other people do things and how other clubs work. And it was so St Kilda landed and I got a job there, and things happened really quickly. Brett Ratton was moved on basically 10 months after I arrived. So the plan that I thought was happening didn't happen, and I'm like, well, what does this mean for me? And then obviously the chatter around Ross coming in, who I had no prior relationship with. I was probably like everyone else, from an outsider looking in, you get a sense of maybe what this person's like. But then once you step into the same room, you actually go, well, and this is the learning, right? So what I thought this person was is probably a long way of what I thought, and we don't always get to see that because everyone forms a perception. Like when we walk past the street or when we grab a coffee, everyone's going to say, well, 5 minutes of that guy, like, or he's pretty cool. But so everyone has these perceptions, and then so for me it was like, okay, well, he's obviously done all these things in footy. He's been pretty successful. He's done it for a long time, and he come in. So I was like, well, there's always a little bit of feeling each other out, and how do you operate? How do I operate? And so there's always that period. But and again, it's probably for me. I'm like, well, okay, well, this is part of my evolution and part of my journey. Like I've got a great mentor here that I can lean into and learn from, and he's been really good, being able to guide me and allow me to express myself as well. And he's got so many great qualities, obviously, as a leader. But his ability to communicate is probably one thing that does stand out. Like he's really smart, and he obviously understands the game really well, but he understands people just as well. So his ability to take all the information that's going on in his head and then just simplify it to the audience, whether it's a staff member or whether it's the playing group, is a high quality of his.
I think as well it's fantastic what he's done, but I think something that I just picked up then, and I knew this before as well, but what you should be sort of commended on is, and what I picked up today chatting is like, you've Geelong, incredible career, going to coaching there, and for all your rights, you could have stayed there for a long time, and I'm sure done whatever you wanted to do, but to be able to sort of go back to a team that is in a different area, different time, it's a big move because it's something that you hadn't really experienced. Maybe a team struggling like that until you were like back in your early years of footy. So to be a well-rounded coach, sometimes like you need to go back and understand what a successful club looks like and what a club on the build looks like, and get a better sort of understanding of that.
Yeah, well, there's obviously 18 clubs, 19 soon, and there's going to be some teams that win a lot of games that don't win the premiership, and there's going to be teams that it's just the natural evolution of your club more often than not that you're going to find yourself in different positions. So, as I've mentioned, Geelong, quality organisation and an outfit that have been able to have sustained success for a long period of time over the last 20 years. And for me to, make the decision to step outside my comfort, because there's a comfortability piece with it. Like I know you and so it is comfortable. So, but the right thing for me was to step outside and challenge and grow. And I've been fortunate, as I said. Like there's so many things within the past 4 years that I've been at St Kilda that I've wouldn't have experienced at Geelong or elsewhere. And they've won premiership, and you can see the passion in the supporters. Like they get people down training every week, supporting the club, and like that's something that I haven't. Well, Geelong was 44 years since they broke a drought. So there's a little bit of similarity there, and then they obviously, once they got it, they continued on. So my hope is that that can happen at St Kilda, where the strategy's similar, where the kids are coming through, they're staying together, they want to have success, and again, it's getting the right people in the right slots. So, but yeah, being at St Kilda, I feel how aligned and powerful the club is to achieve that next premiership.
It's huge. What's your goals, mate, to finish up? Like, what do you set sort of short, medium, long term? Do you have an idea of where you want to go? Like, what does life look like?
I actually don't. I'm not a huge goal setter, and it probably just goes into I guess the willingness to be open as well, like and not have anything sort of fixed or closed. Like, let's just go in with open, an open philosophy, open mindset to again, like, if you're looking at it short term, like, it's how do I get better every day, and there's obviously little things within that, but for the longer term, I'm just one of those guys that don't really look, project forward. Like, let's just take it and see where it goes, and open yourself up to opportunities, and keep on improving.
Love it. Last question, I promise. It might not make sense, but I've found that, so you said before about, like, family being a value and most important thing to you, and I honestly say it's the same for me. But there's also an element to, people that are very driven in work and, like, coaching, and it's hard to then sometimes, like, every day I sort of, like, have a chat with my missus, and she's like, you don't always have to be getting the best out of yourself. Yeah. And, like, it's hard for, I'm not saying this in general, like, I'm a hero or anything, but, like, I always just want to become the best I can.
I totally get where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Like, and that's that, and you're always going to be tested with the balance. Like, it's like,
because they're the opposite.
Like, you're half the glass and you tip a bit of water in it. So you just got to keep, as best you can, trying to have equal balance there. And again, everyone's got a different purpose or different philosophy, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is what is going to be affecting me. Like, so it's like, I need. There's certain things that you need, and there's other things that you can sort of let go. But if you're getting the balance right more often than not, then things will be okay. But if it's, and when it's things are getting out of whack, whether it's too much of this or too much of that, like, you just go, okay, well, it's then recognising that and saying, what can I give here and what can I take there, and that's a balance of life, like, it's everyone's competing, like, particularly when you got kids and you got work and you got family and you got relationships. It's like I hardly see my mates anymore. Like that's just one thing that you sacrifice now. It's just the way of, like, I'm sure things,
ebbs and flows,
when the kids get older, you come back and you see your mates more. But it's just having that, and everyone goes through it. It's just
as long
having
as you're
that
aware of it, I suppose,
perspective, isn't it? Yeah.
Mate, you're a star. Thank you so much for today. Hey,
first time.
Pretty good for a first podcast, mate. That's very impressive. Appreciate your time. Love what you're doing. Best of luck with everything going on at the Saints and whatever your future endeavours are with coaching. I think you do an amazing job. So if you ever need a runner or something, you let me know.
What about skills coach?
I got no skills. I was never the greatest over the short kick.
Bad calves.
Okay,
that's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
You need them for running.
Yeah, you do. Maybe a PDM or something like that.
Maybe you can be like the guy on the bench, like a motivator.
Let's take this offline. Done.